First, I want to thank you for everything. I've been doing this work for 3 years, and it's been quite a ride, and I've really experienced a lot of changes within myself that I like and I'm happy with, and I owe it all to you guys, so thank you very much. The one issue, and I know how you are when we say issue.
Next.
I feel like I'm in the vortex in just about every part of my life. The only thing I seem to be having a problem with is allowing abundance. And I know I heard everything that you said before to that last gentleman, where if you have something and you have to focus on anything else but abundance. The only problem I see with that is that
it touches so much of your life.
Yeah, you wake up and every day from Monday to Saturday, I work 6 days a week, it revolves around finances and abundance or lack thereof. I have my own business and I come and go as I please, and I'm able to create the time I work, and for the most part, and end the day early if I want to do things that are fun for myself. The only problem is hanging over my head is the fact that the finances aren't where we'd like them to be. And how do you avoid something like that when the first thing you do on a Monday morning till at the end of the workday, that's all you're thinking about is getting that to improve?
Well, you can soften it, and you are not making an effort to do that now. And we understand that while you have this opportunity to visit with us, that you would want to sort of speak it as clearly as you can as it is.
Right.
But we want you to consider a couple of things. When we speak about this vortex, and we do our best to get you in there, and then we say, and then a thought may come, and the vortex will spit you out. Now, what we mean by that is, when you think a thought of non-resistance, then the law of attraction is naturally going to draw you to the completion of who you are. Nothing could be more natural. So it turns out that you don't know you're doing it, but you have to work at not being in the vortex. You're making it sound like you need to work to get in, and what we are wanting to say to you is you're actually working to get spit out. And the way you're doing it is by making so many. And how is the sound in here? We're ringing just a little high. When you're in the vortex and then you think a thought that spits you out, that resistant thought has you now thinking more outside the vortex thoughts. So, and then as you listen back to this recording, if you do, you'll hear some strong affirming of what it's like to not have money. In other words, you were affirming and affirming all day, you said, from almost the beginning of the day to the end of the day. I know I should be doing differently, but this is the way that it is. And we want you to think about the power of an affirmation. And the reason that teachers teach affirmations is because they know that the more you speak it, the more it becomes a part of your vibrational offering. Because when you activate a thought, law of attraction responds to it. If you activate it longer, it becomes a more dominant activated thought. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So the word affirmation or the concept affirmation is really a powerful, 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 powerful concept. So consider getting inside the vortex, however you do. Watch a little girl jumping with her ponytail or whatever it is that you're doing, and then sitting with the deck of money and the law of attraction cards, looking through them, affirming from inside the vortex what you're wanting. That or anything like it. We are just wanting to help you to realize that whatever you're focused upon and therefore activating, it's more likely that you'll activate it more easily next time because of the activation that happened last time. You just have to decide that you're going to do from this point forward as much of your affirming from inside the vortex as is possible. And you see, the vortex makes it easy because if you're affirming something you don't want while you're inside the vortex will spit you right out. So the effort that you're making, we're trying to get you to think about it in a different way. The effort you're making is to get in there and stay in. 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 Now we have a process. We've been offering it long before the concept of the vortex. And it's the focus wheel process. And it's the best process we know to get you in the vortex and maybe practice staying in the vortex. So let's do a focus wheel together about money. Now, you heard us say already today that whenever you know what you don't want, you automatically know more clearly what you do want. So another way of saying that, in order to make this vortex analogy even more advantageous, is when you're outside the vortex and really feeling strong about something, you have put a rocket into the vortex. In other words, an equal and proportionate inside the vortex perspective is being held. In fact, we haven't said it today yet, but we want to say it right now. If you had not expanded into this being who is inside the vortex, you would not even mind not being in there. In other words, if life hadn't caused you to expand, not expanding would not be an issue, would it? Yeah. So whenever you know what you don't want, inside the vortex, the source within you has an equally strong, clear statement of what is wanted. So by making your clear statement of what you don't want, you are amplifying the rocket of what's in. What we're getting at is, the process of the focus wheel is, take a big sheet of paper, draw a big circle, and the circle represents the vortex. We call it getting on the wheel. Well, when you are in the playground, and the playground merry-go-round is going really, really fast, and you try to get on, it will just blow you off in the bushes. So you have to slow it down enough to get on. And this focus wheel is the same thing. If you try to get on when you really don't believe, then you don't get on. So you have to sort of slow it down enough by finding a belief that matches what you're wanting to know, and till you get on. And then once you get on, you can add another and another and another. So you draw the big circle on the page, and outside the vortex, or off the wheel, you make your clear statement of what you know you do not want. So let's poke at this and really see if we can stir what you do want up out of it while we're poking at what you don't want. So a good way to do it is, I feel, and then make your I feel discouraged. Is that word strong enough?
Yeah.
I feel discouraged. I feel discouraged that
I'm not making enough money.
I feel discouraged that no matter how hard I try and no matter how many hours I put in, I continue to not get the money that I feel I deserve. How's that?
That sounds really good.
Now, we loaded it with all the stuff we're feeling from you. I feel discouraged and even angry, but anger is even better than discouragement. It's higher on the emotional scale. But I feel anger and discouragement and true worry that the money that I so want is not coming to me. I can't seem to find the way. So whenever you make a strong statement of what you don't want, the equal known by your inner being statement of what you do want surfaces for a moment. So in the center of the wheel, which is what we're shooting for, you want to make the statement as clearly as you can divine it, of what you think your inner being would be saying about the same subject, keeping in mind that what your inner being is always saying about a subject that feels awful when you say it is something exactly opposite of what you're saying. So I feel
that there's plenty of money out there to be found and made.
It is exhilarating. Well, to be found to make is still, you're still hedging a little bit. And the source within you is so sure, because source within you is standing in your vortex where everything that you've been asking for is. So the source within you says, I so enjoy my knowledge of the abundant universe and the easy access that I have to it. Now, did you get that? In other words, can you hear how clarity comes? In other words, when you really know what you don't want, you really know what you do want. And we admit you had to push a little bit to find those words, in fact, but those words were there. In other words, I so enjoy my knowledge of this abundant universe and my easy access to it. Now, of course, you're off the wheel. You're outside the vortex, so you're not there, but at least you know what you're going for, and so the process has begun. So now you have one singular goal. Remember, this is called a focus wheel. Not a rambling wheel, not a tell it like I don't want it wheel.
Yes.
This is called a focus wheel. And your life has just caused you to focus right into the center of this wheel what you want. In fact, it's more vivid than it's ever been. In other words, the latest contrast just made it extra vivid. So now you're wanting to focus your mind to say something as best you can that you already believe about how you so enjoy your knowledge of this abundant universe and your easy access to it. Can you say anything that sort of matches that you already believe?
I've experienced that feeling in the past, briefly, but I do remember how it feels to feel like I'm abundant and that there's plenty there.
So we'll take that. We would say that I remember the abundant feeling does get you on the wheel.
Yes.
Hanging on barely. But now you're on the wheel. So now milk it a little bit. Focus yourself a little, because now you're more on the wheel than you're off. Just a moment ago, you're more off than on.
Yes.
But now you're more on the wheel. So now make another affirming statement that affirms how you enjoy your knowledge of the abundant universe.
I'd really like to, but
stay off the subject of money.
Okay.
And use the abundant angle. I'm abundant with vitality.
Yes.
My physical body is abundant with flexibility. I have abundant stamina.
Yes.
There is abundance of beauty that surrounds me.
My kids, I love my family.
I have abundant joy in my familiar relationships. There is abundance of all manner surrounding me. Just stay there, affirming abundance from inside this wheel. And you can sort of lead yourself into it by using statements that lead you in. I really like, or I so enjoy, or I'm happy that. I'm happy that. Because you see, now we're taking this head on. You took an issue and we took the issue and went right to a focus wheel. It might have been easier to take a lot of other subjects and get you on the wheel, but you're so busy affirming that you've got everything else going on, and this is the one issue that isn't going good. So let's take this one issue. Let's take the bull by the horns. Let's focus the abundance that you do have. I'm abundant with ideas, yes?
I am abundant with ideas. I just, I know, here we go, off the wheel.
Well, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But you see, you wanted to do it because abundant with ideas reminds you that of the downside of that. But that's why it's called a focus wheel.
Right.
So stay with it. You'll have a vibrational breakthrough if you will stay with it. In other words, a lot of people don't. They start it and off in the bushes they go, and then they're done. Or they start it and off in the bushes they go. But you're in the hot seat, and you've opened to infinite intelligence, and we're not going to let you off so easily. Now we've got you this close to this vortex, we are going to spin, as law of attraction does, the vibration of who you are strong enough that you must begin to see it and speak it.
Okay. I do have a lot of great ideas, and some of them will probably work out. I'm doing a rambling wheel, aren't I?
Well, what you're demonstrating is, if we were doing an anti-focus wheel, you'd be much better at it.
Let's do one.
What you're demonstrating is you've been beating the drum a lot more of what's not working than you have about what is working. So this focus is weak in comparison with that focus. We acknowledge that, but this is who you really are. This is all that you want. In other words, it is illogical to us that you should not be able to find the vibration of who you really are. And it is our absolute promise to you that as you stay focused there just a little longer, that clarity is going to be there for you to see. This is not the easiest environment in the world to focus on something that is very personal when there are other people that are listening in, but it is the best environment that you've ever had for the opening of the energy that is in your vortex to call you. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would make a decision that we were going to use this focus wheel here and now.